I'm shocked you remembered where we eat, Miss Big Paycheck. That was the first thing my mom said when I walked in. Loud, cheerful, but aimed right at me like a dart. Everyone laughed. That polite, echoing kind of laughter that fills up silence and burns your face at the same time. I smiled because I didn't know what else to do. My hands were still cold from the parking lot. I hadn't even taken off my coat yet. It was Mom's 60th birthday dinner, Riverview Steakhouse, downtown Cleveland. White tablecloths, gold balloons, and the smell of buttered steak everywhere. Everyone looked nice. Jewelry, pressed shirts, hair done. I was the only one in scrubs. Blue, wrinkled, the kind of fabric that never lets you forget where you came from. Mom looked proud sitting in the middle, birthday sash across her chest. Dad sat next to her, already halfway through a drink. My brother Ryan was at the end, holding a beer bottle like it was an instrument. He always wanted to be a musician, he just never quite got there. Dad chuckled. Nurses are always too busy saving strangers. Aunt Linda added, She married the job, honey. Ryan smirked. She'll divorce it when the check comes. More laughter. Big, fake, warm laughter. The kind that made me feel small. I gripped my water glass and felt the condensation slide between my fingers. My wrist still had the imprint of my watch from my last shift. Emmy, you look exhausted, Mom said, squinting. You could have worn something nice, not hospital clothes. I came straight from work, I said softly. She waved it off. Well, priorities. The server, a young girl named Jess, dropped off menus, calling my mom birthday queen. Mom giggled. That's me, she said, tossing her hair like she was 60 going on 16. They ordered everything, steak, crab cakes, top-shelf bourbon. Dad raised his glass and winked at me. Since Emmy's here, let's celebrate right. Ryan added, Make it 2, birthday on her tab. The table roared. I kept smiling. My throat felt dry, like I'd swallowed a handful of dust. Aunt Linda leaned in. So, honey, nurses make good money, right? Enough, I said. Maybe you can help your brother record his new song, she teased. Ryan laughed. Yeah, maybe Big Sis can sponsor me. Mom tapped her wine glass. He's following his dream, Emily. You should be proud. Jess brought the cake, To Our Rock, Nancy, in shiny red frosting. The whole restaurant clapped. Mom posed for photos with everyone. Dad, Ryan, even the cousins. One with just family, she said. I stepped forward. She smiled thinly. You look tired in scrubs, honey. The flash went off. Everyone laughed again. When I finally sat down, I gave her my gift, a framed picture of her holding me as a baby and a $50 gift card. She stared at it. You're practical. Ryan's thoughtful Ryan strummed an imaginary guitar. Wait till you hear my song. He sang a few lines, off-key and loud. People clapped, Mom cried. I just stared at my napkin. Then the bill came. Jess placed the folder near Dad. He smiled, slid it toward me, still laughing. Birthday tradition. $327.80. My stomach dropped. Ryan leaned over. Come on, you're the rich one. I'm not rich, I said quietly. Mom whispered, You're lucky you can. I took out my card. My hands were shaking. Jess smiled as she took it. Thanks, Emily, she wrote with a heart on the receipt, like it was a favor. When she left, Ryan held up his phone. Selfie, family that pays together. He snapped it, and I watched him post it to Instagram before dessert even came. The caption, Quality time, #family-first. In the photo, half my face was cut off. I tried to keep my voice steady. You didn't even get me in the picture. Ryan shrugged. Oh, lighting wasn't great. Chill Aunt Linda laughed. You're too serious, Em. Smile more. I didn't say anything. I just kept looking at my plate, tracing the ring of wine left on the tablecloth. When the check came back, I signed it, added a 20% tip, and stood. My knees felt weak. I have an early shift tomorrow, I said. Mom nodded, not looking at me. Of course. Always working. As we left, snow had started falling outside. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead, cold and sharp. Mom hugged me at the door, the kind of quick hug that doesn't touch hearts. You're lucky you can, sweetie, she said again. Dad carried out his leftover steak. Ryan pocketed the candles. Everyone waved, smiling for another round of pictures. I stood there for a second, watching my breath fade into the cold air. My phone buzzed, a text from Amir. "You okay?" I typed, "Fine, busy," then deleted it. Inside my coat pocket, the restaurant receipt crinkled between my fingers. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe to remind myself what love costs sometimes. That night,
God bless you, honey. I knew you'd come through. You always do. I hung up and stared at the number before I pressed transfer. $5,000. The money I'd been saving for grad school. Across the room, Amir was leaning against the kitchen doorway, arms folded. "You sure they'll pay you back?" I shrugged. "They're family." He said nothing after that. Just that quiet exhale, the one that meant, I don't agree, but I'm done fighting this. The next morning, I woke to the ping of our family group chat. Ryan had posted a picture of Mom smiling with the caption, "Family always comes through." Dozens of hearts and clapping emojis, not one mention of my name. At work, I caught myself checking the chat during lunch. Still nothing, not even a thank you. That night, Amir asked, "So, what'd your mom say?" "Nothing, really," I said, pretending to laugh. "Guess that means she's okay." 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed again. Same ringtone, same knot in my stomach. Mom sighed into the line. "Your dad's car broke down. He needs it for doctor appointments." I didn't answer right away. "Anna?" "Yeah, I'm here. It's just bad luck, honey. We didn't raise you to be selfish." That line hit harder than the money ever could. I bit my lip until I tasted metal, then said, "I'll send it tonight." She laughed through her tears. "You're a good daughter." That night, I wired another $800 while Amir washed dishes in silence. When I finished, he dried his hands and said, "You can't rescue people who want to drown." I looked at him. "They're my parents." He nodded once, quietly. "I know." Then he turned off the light and went upstairs. 2 weeks later, we drove to a family lunch in Dearborn. I brought dessert, a box of pistachio pastries Amir had picked up from a Lebanese bakery. Mom hugged him first. "You're such a provider," she said loudly. "She needed that." I forced a smile. "I work too, Mom." She patted my hand. "Sure, honey, but we both know who earns more." Everyone laughed, light, teasing, but the sound felt sharp. I watched Amir's face fall, just slightly. He didn't say anything. The next few months blurred into the same pattern. A hospital bill, a car repair, something about Ryan's tuition. I stared at it until my chest hurt, then put the phone down. A week passed. No calls, no messages. But online, they looked fine. I saw a photo of them at a cousin's birthday. Cake, candles, smiles. The caption read, "Family means showing up when it matters." I scrolled through the comments, all hearts and praise. My throat tightened. I didn't comment, didn't like it. Just locked the phone and sat there in the dark. That night, Amir cooked dinner, chicken and rice, quiet, steady. He left my phone face down on the counter like he didn't want it to interrupt. "Eat," he said softly. I tried, couldn't taste anything. After a while, he said, "If you want peace, stop buying it." I didn't answer, just stared at my plate, gripping the fork until my knuckles went white. When I went to bed later, I couldn't sleep. The room felt too quiet. I turned on my phone, the glow lighting up my face, and opened my bank app. The numbers didn't surprise me anymore, just smaller every month. I placed the phone on the nightstand, rolled onto my side, and stared at the ceiling until my chest stopped aching. In the silence, I could still hear Mom's voice from that first call. Soft, trembling, rehearsed. We could lose the house. By morning, I'd already decided. No more transfers, no more excuses. But as I poured my coffee, that old guilt crawled back up my throat. I almost called her. Almost. Then I stopped. The mug trembled in my hand, coffee spilling over the counter. I whispered to myself, steady but shaking. I learned family debt doesn't come with interest. It comes with guilt. And for the first time, I didn't reach for the phone. It started with a comment. "Beautiful couple. Hope he treats you right this time." I blinked at the screen.
This time? My finger hovered over the words like maybe they'd disappear if I stared long enough, but they didn't. That morning had felt so normal, so light. Coffee brewing, sunlight slipping through the blinds, Layla laughing in her pajamas while Amir flipped pancakes. 5 years of marriage. Nothing fancy, just ours. I'd posted a photo before breakfast, the 3 of us by Lake Erie last weekend. I even wrote a corny caption, 5 years, 1 home, 1 heart. Within an hour, Amir walked into the living room smiling, carrying a plate of fruit. "Hey, what's wrong?" "Nothing," I said too quickly, "just checking something." He looked at me for a second, but didn't push. "Come eat before it gets cold." I nodded, but I didn't move. A message popped up on my phone. From Kara, a coworker. "Is everything okay between you and Amir?" My stomach flipped. "Why?" I typed back. She sent a screenshot. My anniversary photo, reposted in a local Facebook mom group. Caption: "She left her family for him. Now look." The post already had dozens of comments. By the time I clicked through, it was over 100. Poor thing, she married into drama. I heard he doesn't even let her see her mom. Some women always think they can change men. Mostly women. Mostly cruel. And most of them, people from our town. People who used to smile at me in Target. My fingers went cold. The room spun a little. I could hear Layla giggling in the next room, singing something off-key, and I just sat there staring at the flood of strangers dissecting my life like it was gossip hour. Then I saw it, the one thing that knocked the air out of me. My mother's name, right there under a nasty comment, a blue thumbs up, a like. It wasn't a fake profile. It wasn't a mistake. It was her. My throat tightened. I zoomed in just to make sure. Nancy Richards, public, active 3 minutes ago. I don't know how long I sat there before Amir came back. "You're shaking," he said quietly. I looked up, tears stinging my eyes. She liked it. Who? My mom. She liked it, Amir. She liked the post calling you controlling. He frowned, rubbed his forehead. "Anna, it's just Facebook." I laughed, sharp, broken. "It's not just Facebook. It's my family, my coworkers, my neighbors. It's my whole damn town watching our marriage like it's a TV show." He opened his mouth, then stopped. There was nothing to say. I picked up my phone again. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. I started writing a comment. "You don't know my life. You don't know my marriage. You don't know me." I stared at it, read it 3 times. My finger hovered over post. That night, Amir didn't mention it. He just made dinner and sat beside me on the couch. We ate in silence, forks scraping plates. After a while, he said, "You don't have to prove anything to them." I nodded slowly. I just didn't think I had to defend love. He reached for my hand. His palm was warm, steady. Mine wasn't. Later, after Layla went to bed, I logged out of everything. Facebook, Instagram, the group chats. My screen went blank. For the first time all day, there were no notifications, no noise. The quiet felt heavy, but honest. I leaned against the counter, the glow from the kitchen light soft against the floor. Amir stood across from me drying dishes. Neither of us spoke. Somewhere on the table, my phone buzzed again. Another notification. I didn't look. I took a slow breath, eyes fixed on the dark window. My reflection stared back, tired, hollow, but still standing. "They called it gossip," I whispered, more to myself than to him. I called it character assassination. The buzz came again, louder this time, echoing through the quiet house. And still, I didn't move. I was folding laundry when my phone buzzed. A notification popped up. "Melissa tagged you in a photo." I clicked it without thinking. It opened to my cousin's Facebook post. "The whole family together, heart. Celebrating 50 years of love." The photo loaded slowly, like it wanted to take its time hurting me. Gold streamers, balloons shaped like a 50, everyone smiling under twinkle lights. Mom standing dead center, her arm around Chloe. Dad grinning beside her. My aunts, my uncles, all of them. Caption said, "All the grandkids made it." Except I wasn't there. For a second, I just stared, half holding a towel, half holding my breath. Then I noticed the decorations, framed family photos taped to the wall. And right there, above the cake table, one picture I knew by heart. Me and Amir from my wedding. But his half was gone, cropped clean out. My hands went cold. The towel slipped. Layla ran in, hair messy from her nap. "What's that, Mama?" "Just a party," I said, my voice. He didn't say anything else, just put his towel in the laundry basket and sat beside me. The warmth from his arm made me want to cry harder. That night, I made dinner, but barely ate. Amir cleared the plates while I sat scrolling through the photos again. More uploads, videos now. My aunt laughing into the mic. 50 years of love and family. Then the comments started coming. "So good to have everyone together. Couldn't imagine this family without Nancy's girls." Someone asked, "Where's Anna?" I froze. 3 dots blinked, and then Chloe's comment appeared. "She's busy living her best life." 15 likes, a couple of laughing emojis. I felt heat rise to my face, the kind that burns but doesn't leave. "They're celebrating being together by cutting people out," I muttered. Amir looked up from the sink. "That's who they are." I laughed under my breath, bitter. That's who they made me. He turned off the water, dried his hands. "You don't have to keep looking." "I just want to know what I did," I said. "I married someone they don't approve of, and that's my crime?" He came closer, touched my shoulder. "They can't erase you." Not really, but they already had. After he went upstairs to put Layla to bed, I sat alone in the quiet, the hum of the fridge, the faint sound of crickets through the window. I opened the picture one more time, zoomed in until the pixels blurred. Everyone looked so happy. And there was my mother, glass of champagne in hand, eyes bright with joy, not a hint of guilt. I told myself it didn't matter, that I'd outgrown this, but the reflection staring back at me on the phone screen didn't look strong. She looked hollow, like someone watching her own life from outside the frame. Around 9, I deactivated my Facebook account. Just clicked deactivate and watched everything vanish. Photos, comments, memories. For a moment, it was silent. Then the silence turned into something else. Not relief, not peace. It felt like exile. I leaned back on the couch, staring at the dark window. I could see our porch light faintly glowing, soft and small, like a reminder that our life was real, even if no one else wanted to see it. Upstairs, Amir's voice drifted down. He looked at me, but I didn't meet his eyes. I was still staring at the phone, waiting for it to light up again. And it did, right on cue. Notification, Chloe tagged you in a memory. My finger hovered over the screen for a moment. Then I locked it. I set the phone face down on the table. My voice came out steady, almost numb. That night, I learned you can be erased politely. The phone buzzed again, faintly, and this time I didn't even flinch. The phone rang at 9:17 a.m. sharp. Internal number, HR. I was finishing patient charting halfway through my coffee. "Hi, Anna," the voice said, polite, too polite. "Do you have a minute to talk?" I joked, "If it's about my vacation days, I swear I filled that form twice." Silence. Then she said, "No, this is about a report that came through." My stomach dropped. "A report?" "Yes, an anonymous complaint. It claims you've been misusing company funds, redirecting hospital resources to your husband's business." I laughed once, too loud. "That's ridiculous." "I'm sure it is," she said, "but we have to follow protocol." By 10 o'clock, I was sitting in the HR conference room under fluorescent lights that buzzed louder than the clock. They asked for my laptop. "It's just standard procedure," the HR rep said, smiling like she was offering tea. When I walked back through the hall, I felt the air shift. Coworkers glanced up from their screens. Someone whispered something I couldn't hear, but I heard my name. That was enough. In the parking lot, I sat in my car with both hands gripping the wheel. Cold air from the vents hit my face, but my chest still burned. My phone lit up. Amir. Hey, everything okay? I just got accused of fraud, I said flatly. What? They think I funneled money to you. He went silent for a long beat, then softly, they'll clear you. That's not the point, I said. Someone had to start this. Who would? Family, I cut him off. It's always family. That night, he made tea while I sat at the kitchen counter staring at nothing. He slid the cup toward me. You're not even suspended, right? No, I said, just under review. He nodded, calm as ever. Mike, my sister Chloe's husband. He worked in finance. Connections, access, gossip. It felt like static under my skin. I didn't have proof, but I didn't need any. That evening, I called Chloe. She picked up, voice bright. Hey, stranger. Everything okay? Did you tell anyone at Mike's company that I work at St. Mary's? I might have mentioned it once. Why? Because someone accused me of stealing money for Amir's business. She laughed, nervous. Oh my God, I didn't say it like that. Then how did you say it? Silence. Then, you're overreacting, Anna. It's just talk. Talk that made it to HR, I said. Her voice sharpened. You always think the world's out to get you. Click. 5 minutes later, my mom called. I didn't even say hello before she started. Chloe's upset. Why are you accusing her of something so serious? Because someone's spreading lies about me, I said. Mom's tone went calm, that kind of calm that makes you feel like the villain. You're making the family look bad, sweetheart. I closed my eyes. No, Mom, you did that for me. There was a pause. Then the line went dead. A week later, HR called again. You're cleared, they said. We didn't find anything wrong. Their smiles looked relieved, like they were the ones being forgiven. I signed the paper, thanked them, and left. Walking through the halls, I could still feel the stares. People don't forget accusations. They just store them. Outside, the cold wind hit my face. I almost wished it hurt more. That evening, I got home late. Amir was making dinner. He didn't ask, just handed me a plate. We ate quietly, Layla humming to herself at the table. For a moment, everything looked normal. Then my phone buzzed again. Next door. Be careful who you trust. Not everyone's honest about money. I opened the thread. Dozens of comments. No names, but everyone knew. Some people always play the victim. Didn't her husband lose his last job too? Guess you can't buy class. Amir reached across, turned my phone face down. Don't read that. They don't even know me, I said. He looked at me, tired. They think they do. Later that night, after Layla was asleep, I sat in bed with the light off, scrolling again even though it made me sick. Same words, different voices. People dissecting me like a public file. Amir came in, leaned against the doorway. Close it, Anna. I locked my phone. The screen went black, and for a second I could see my reflection. Tired eyes, bitten lip. Someone I barely recognized. My voice came out low but steady. It wasn't a lie that broke me, I said. It was how easily they believed it. He didn't speak, just reached for my hand. The phone buzzed again. I didn't check. I was at the grocery store when it started. A woman from my street spotted me near the fruit aisle. Her smile was tight, like she was holding something behind it. Hey, Anna, she said, touching my arm. I heard about what happened at your husband's company. Is that true? I blinked. What happened? Oh, just what people are saying. Something about fraud? She whispered the last word as if she was protecting me by lowering her voice. I didn't answer. I just left the cart where it was and walked straight out. When I got home, Amir's car wasn't there yet. I sat on the couch, coat still on, staring at the wall. He came in late that night, the smell of cold air on his jacket. They postponed my promotion, he said quietly. I looked up. Why? He hesitated. Someone sent an anonymous email to my boss. Said I'm under investigation for fraud. The word hung there again, fraud. You're not, I said, my voice sharper than I meant. I know, he said, but that's all they'll remember. He took off his coat, sat beside me. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Later that night, I opened my laptop. Blank email screen. I typed, Defamation Attorney, Detroit. Amir leaned on the doorway. You really want to do this? I want it to stop. It won't. Then at least it'll cost them. The lawyer's office smelled like new paper and winter air, big glass windows, snow falling outside. She spoke calmly like she'd done this 100 times. We can file for defamation, but it'll get messy. I looked her in the eye. It's already messy. She slid a paper across the desk. We'll trace the origin. My name was printed at the top. Plaintiff, Anna Miller. It looked official. It looked final. 2 weeks later, my phone rang, the lawyer again. We traced the source of the anonymous email, she said. My throat tightened. Who was it? Pause. It came from someone using Nancy Miller's address. My breath stopped. My mother? No, her friend's name appears on the account, but the device is registered under your mother's home network. I didn't say anything for a moment, then just, thank you. I hung up, set the phone down, and sat at the table. Amir looked up from his laptop. What's wrong? It was her, I said quietly. She'll deny it. She already taught me how. A few days later, I went to the post office. Certified letters, 3 of them. By the time I got home, the group chat was exploding. Chloe, what the hell did you do? Mom, we need to talk. Now. Minutes later, Mom called. You're suing your own family? Her voice trembled like she was the one who'd been hurt. I'm protecting mine, I said evenly. We're your family too. Then you should have acted like it. Click. That night, Chloe posted on Facebook. Imagine suing your mother. Some people have no loyalty.
Hundreds of comments. Sympathy, outrage, gossip, family over money. She married out, now she's cashing out. I scrolled, thumb shaking. My face felt hot even though I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Amir sat down next to me. You don't have to read that, he said quietly. I want to see how far they'll go. He stared at the screen for a second, then said, all the way. I nodded. Then I'll meet them there. The next morning, I sat in the lawyer's office again. The walls looked colder than before. She handed me the final papers. Once you sign this, the court will serve them within 48 hours. I took the pen. My hand shook a little. My signature came out steadier than I felt. This will get ugly before it gets fair, she said. I'm not expecting fair, I said. Just truth. That evening, Mom left a voicemail. I played it on speaker while I folded laundry. Her voice was broken, dramatic. How could you? How could you humiliate us like this? Do you know what people will think? They'll think we're awful. Amir stood by the doorway, arms crossed, watching me. When the message ended, I said softly, now they'll know. He didn't answer. The next morning, I woke to the sound of mail sliding through the slot. An envelope hit the floor. Court acknowledgement of service. I picked it up, turned it over. On the counter beside me sat an old family photo. Mom, Dad, Chloe, me. Amir wasn't in that one. He never had been. I set the envelope next to it. The sunlight touched both. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Then I said, quietly but certain, in court, I wasn't fighting them. I was fighting the version of me they'd invented. The house was silent. No yelling, no apology, no noise at all. Just the sound of snow melting outside, slow and steady, like it had all the time in the world. I knew it had changed the minute I walked into the grocery store. The hum of conversation dropped like someone had turned down the volume. A woman I'd known since kindergarten, the kind who hugs you too tight at church,
suddenly found her cart very interesting in the opposite direction. When I reached the checkout, the teenage cashier looked nervous. "My mom said you're in that lawsuit thing," she said, scanning my milk. I nodded once. "Yeah, that thing." She handed me the receipt carefully, like my touch might spread something. I paid, left, and breathed in the parking lot air like it might be cleaner. At Layla's school that week, I showed up early to volunteer for the PTA bake sale. I smiled, set my cupcakes down, signed my name on the sheet. The chair, perfect hair, perfect smile, said, "Oh, we already have enough volunteers, but thank you, Anna." Her voice was sugar. Behind me, two moms whispered something and laughed. I picked up my cupcakes and walked out. They felt heavier than before. That night, Amir sat on the couch scrolling through his phone. "You should see this," he said quietly.
On his screen, a TikTok video played. The title read, "Detroit Woman Sues Her Mom Over Family Drama." 200,000 views. Photos of our wedding, screenshots of my lawsuit, side by side with a family picture. Strangers debating my life like a public trial. She's crazy. She's brave. Probably just wants attention. I watched for 10 seconds, then I closed it. A few days later, my messages filled with strangers. "You should be ashamed. Send your husband back where he came from. You people ruin everything. Block, block, block." My thumb hovered over delete account, but I didn't press it. Amir found me sitting on the floor that night, staring at the phone. "They only win if we disappear," he said softly. I looked up. "Then let's stay loud, in our own way." He smiled, and for a second, that was enough. Saturday came. No calls, no plans, no one at the door. The house felt too quiet. Even the walls seemed to notice. Layla sat at the table coloring. "Why don't Grandma and Aunt Chloe come over anymore?" I knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Because sometimes people forget how to be kind." She thought about it, then said, "Then we'll remind them." I smiled. "Yeah, maybe we will." A few weeks later, I took her to the playground. She ran off toward the swings, laughing. A woman sitting on the bench looked up from her coffee. "You're Anna, right?" she said. "The woman who sued her mom?" I froze. She grinned. "Good for you." Some of us wish we had the guts. Her name was Serena, divorced, raising 2 kids on her own. We talked while the kids played, about schools, bills, everything that wears you down. She didn't look at me like a headline. That's how it started. No judgment, no pity, just recognition. A week later, she came over for dinner. So did a nurse from work and Tom, a dad from Layla's class whose wife had left 2 years ago. We ate homemade pasta and cheap wine. Serena looked around the table and laughed. "Look at us, the Town Rejects Dinner Club." Everyone cracked up, even Amir. Layla ran around the table shouting, "No phones at dinner!" And for the first time in months, I laughed without worrying how it looked. Amir leaned over, voice soft. "Everyone here looks happy." I nodded. "It feels different, doesn't it?" He smiled. "It feels real." The weeks passed quietly. I started gardening again, tiny green sprouts breaking through dirt in the backyard. Went back to working extra shifts at the hospital. Every few nights we hosted dinner, someone new at the table each time. The silence around me stopped feeling like punishment. It started feeling earned. One afternoon I walked into the grocery store again. Same aisle, same woman from before. This time she didn't turn away. She forced a smile. "Hey, Anna." I just wanted to say, I didn't mean to believe everything I saw online. I met her eyes. "It's okay. Everyone believes what's easiest." She blinked, didn't know what to say next. I walked past her, calm, steady, lighter than I'd felt in a long time. That night, after dinner, I tucked Layla into bed. She snuggled under the blanket, her eyes soft and curious. "Mom," she whispered, "are we happy now?" I thought for a second, then said, "We're honest." "That's better," she smiled. "You laugh more now." I kissed her forehead. "So do you." Later, I stepped outside.
The night was cold but clear. Inside, I could hear Amir and our friends laughing over leftover dessert, Layla's giggles echoing between them. Warm light spilled from the window, soft and gold against the dark. I stood there for a moment, breathing it in, the sound of a life I'd built from the ashes of another, and I said quietly, like a truth I finally believed, I stopped defending myself and started building something real. The wind moved through the trees, carrying laughter with it. For once, the silence didn't sting. It felt like peace. It was almost midnight when the phone buzzed on the nightstand. The screen lit up with a single message from Chloe. "Mom's in ICU. You should come." No emoji, no please, no apology tucked between the lines, just an order. I stared at it until the light dimmed out. Then I set the phone face down and let the room go dark again. By morning, Detroit was gray and wet, the kind of day that felt too heavy to hold. Amir drove. The wipers moved slow, steady. Neither of us spoke. The radio played some old gospel song, mostly static between the verses. After a while, I said quietly, "She'll say she didn't mean it." Amir's eyes stayed on the road. "You don't have to answer her." But I was already halfway there. The hospital doors opened with that long mechanical sigh. Inside, everything smelled like bleach and tired air. At the front desk, a nurse said, "Room 304, ICU." I nodded, thanked her, but my voice barely worked. Every sound felt too sharp, heels on tile, the beep of machines somewhere down the hall, the faint rustle of gloves. When I reached the door, Chloe was by the window. She looked smaller than I remembered. "She's been asking for you," she said. Her voice cracked just once. Mom was barely recognizable. The woman who used to command every room now lay in one, surrounded by wires and air that smelled like endings. Her hair was gray at the roots, her hands swollen, her mouth dry but still trying to control the moment. When she saw me, her eyes softened. "You came." I stood there. "You wanted to see me." She nodded weakly. "And them, my grandkids." "They're at home," I said. "They're safe." She smiled, a small, uneven thing. "Good." For a while, the only sound was the monitor. Beep, beep. A rhythm that kept time for both of us. Then she said, "I said terrible things." "You did." I was scared. Her hand trembled against the sheet. "You stopped needing me. And I didn't know how to love you when you didn't need saving." I didn't answer. I just watched her chest rise and fall beneath the thin blanket. She kept talking, voice softer now. "You were always stronger than me." I called it rebellion because I was jealous. My throat tightened. "You made it so hard to love you." Her eyes closed for a second, like the weight of that landed. "I made it hard because I thought love was control." The room went still again. Chloe turned her face away, shoulders shaking quietly. I stayed where I was, still standing, still steady. For the first time, there wasn't any noise between us. No guilt, no explanations, just air. Clean, empty air. Mom opened her eyes again. "Can you forgive me?" Her voice was small, like a child asking for something she wasn't sure she deserved. I sat down beside her bed. I didn't rush it. I just let the question sit there for a moment between the two of us. "I already did," I said finally. "I just didn't tell you." Her shoulders loosened. The tension in her jaw melted. A tear rolled down the side of her face, slow and quiet. Chloe spoke up, voice shaking. "You could have come sooner." I looked at her, calm. "And you could have stopped her sooner." There was no anger in it, just truth. Chloe nodded once, eyes down. "I know." Mom's breathing grew heavier, slower. She looked at me again, her eyes glassy, but still searching. "Tell them I love them," she whispered. I nodded. "They know." She smiled faintly, as if that was enough. The monitor kept its rhythm, soft and steady. I reached for her hand, not to comfort her, but to remind myself that I still could. For a long moment, she just breathed. And for the first time in my life, her silence didn't feel like punishment. When I walked out of that room, the hallway felt too bright. The air smelled of sanitizer and something fading. I didn't look back. Outside, Amir was waiting in the car, engine running. He looked up when he saw me. "How was it?" Honest, I said. He nodded, didn't ask more. We sat there in silence, the city lights reflecting on the windshield, blurring into color. I leaned my head back against the seat, closed my eyes for a moment. She asked if I forgave her, I said finally. And did you? Yes, I said. But not for her.
The car moved through the gray streets, headlights sweeping over wet pavement. I watched the world slide past the window. Small houses, lit porches, families behind glass. The city felt the same, but I didn't. Because some part of me had let go. Not of her, but of the story she wrote for me. The one where I was always wrong, always difficult, always too much. That story ended in a hospital room, with the sound of a monitor counting what was left of her time. We stopped at a red light. Rain hit the windshield, soft and steady. Amir reached over and took my hand, just held it. The world was still moving, but for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to catch up. I looked out into the dark, voice steady, quiet, certain. Forgiveness isn't for the guilty, it's for the living. The light turned green, we drove on. The first sound that morning was Layla's laughter, echoing from the kitchen. Amir was fixing one of the chairs at the new oak table I'd built myself. The wood was uneven in places, but it was ours. Sunlight spilled through the glass doors, soft and steady. For the first time, my home didn't feel like a defense. It felt like a choice. The house was simple. Beige walls, clean shelves, mismatched mugs. A box in the corner read, "Old stuff, don't open yet." Layla hummed as she set the table, each plate perfectly centered. "Everyone gets the same chair," she said proudly. "That's the rule," I told her, smiling. The doorbell rang. I wiped my hands on a towel, took one slow breath, and opened the door. Nancy stood there, smaller than I remembered, a pie in her hands. Chloe beside her, holding a nervous smile like a peace offering. "Hi, sweetheart," Mom said. Her voice wavered. "Come in," I said. They hesitated a beat before stepping inside. The air carried politeness, not comfort, not yet. Amir greeted them first, calm as always. "It's good to see you." Chloe nodded, glancing around. "It smells amazing in here." "Homemade," I said. "Cooking's my new thing, when I'm not defending myself online." They both laughed, a short, guilty sound, but it broke the tension just enough. We sat down together. Chicken, roasted vegetables, bread still warm. No one talked about the lawsuit. No one mentioned hospitals. Just small talk, safe and careful. Layla did most of the talking. She told stories about her teacher, her new best friend, a boy who always lost his lunch money. No one interrupted her, not once. Nancy watched her quietly, then said, "It's beautiful here." I nodded. "It's peaceful." She looked at me, eyes softer than before. "I can feel that." Halfway through dinner, she put her fork down. Her hands trembled slightly. "I was cruel," she said. I didn't look away. "You hurt us." Her eyes filled, but her voice didn't break. "I know. But thank you for letting me sit here." I set my glass down gently. "You walked in yourself." Silence stretched between us, not sharp, just full. Chloe's turn came next. She exhaled, staring down at her plate. "We said awful things. About you, about him." I looked at her. "I know." "You didn't deserve it." Her voice shook. And for the first time, I believed she meant it. Then Layla, with her usual timing, looked up from her plate. "So, are we family again?" Everyone went still. Even the air seemed to wait. I smiled. "Now we finally are." She grinned like it was the simplest thing in the world and went right back to eating. After that, the room changed. The laughter was small but real. Mom told an old story about me getting gum stuck in my hair. Chloe teased Amir about his too-perfect roast potatoes. He laughed and handed her another one anyway. For the first time in years, no one was performing. We were just people, eating together, breathing the same air without walking on glass. When dinner ended, everyone helped clean up. Mom insisted on washing the dishes. I let her. Chloe looked around the kitchen. "It feels different here." "It is," I said, "because no one's trying to win." When the night wound down, Mom hugged me lightly, hesitant at first, then tighter. "Thank you,"
she whispered. For what? For not giving up on me when you should have. I smiled, small and real. Maybe we both learned the hard way. We stood there for a second, not as enemies, not as strangers, just as women who'd run out of reasons to fight. After they left, I stood in the doorway for a while, looking at the table. 6 chairs, no head of the table anymore. Amir walked over, slipped his arm around my shoulder. You okay? He asked. I am, I said quietly. Finally. Layla ran back in, laughing, jumped into his arms. He caught her, kissed the top of her head. I looked at them, at the chairs, at the home we'd built. Not perfect, but true. You can lose blood and still build family, and for the first time in a long time, I believed it. If you've made it this far, tell me what you think. If you were in her place, would you forgive? Would you stay silent or speak up to protect yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments, let me know how you'd handle it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. A like, a comment, even a few words. Sometimes that's all it takes to say, I get it.